Mold exposure seems to be an issue with a lot of people. If you've been exposed to mold, it doesn't immediately mean mold is now growing in your body. Common signs to look out for are you're tired a lot, sinus issues, respiratory problems. But even that doesn't mean mold. I mean, you can get that from just not eating right. The only way to know for sure if you have mold in your body is to get tested, like a urine mycotoxin test or blood work like a CIRS panel or something like that. If it's confirmed you have mold in your body, you need to do a number of things to make sure you don't feed it. Getting black mold out of the body isn't as simple as just flushing it out with some detox or something. Mold exposure affects people differently, and symptoms often come from mycotoxins, which isn't actually the mold. It's where those are the toxins produced by the mold, not just the mold spores themselves. Some of the biggest causes of mold are water leaks inside the walls, living in humid areas like the tropics, and carpeting. That's a big one. I'll get into that in the next video. If you know for sure you have mold in the house, step one is you must get rid of it. You got to get rid of the mold. Locate the source. Mold grows around moisture, especially water leaks, and that can happen lots of places. For example, our 1-year-old dishwasher had a loose hose and was leaking for almost 3 months before we figured it out. The only sign anything was happening was the baseboards were separating from the wall because the drywall was swelling. We had to rip out all the cabinets under the countertop and rebuild them. This can happen under dishwashers, refrigerators, washing machines, water heaters, air conditioners, air handlers, sinks, toilets, underneath bathtubs, showers, and of course the pipes inside the walls. I highly suggest you get some kind of water alarm that you place underneath your appliances. They give off a high-pitched sound when they sense water, and you can get 6 of them like this for like $50. It's not that expensive, and this can literally save you $20,000 or $30,000 worth of damage repair and your health. I also suggest you get some kind of moisture meter. You can get these for $50 also at Home Depot or online. I'll put some links down below. These measure moisture in your walls and floors. You can set them for drywall or masonry or softwood or hardwood, and then it tells you how much moisture you have in your walls and floors. I highly suggest you get one of these things. There's also mold test kits you can buy, but most of the ones online are useless because they just tell you if there's any mold in the air, and yes, there almost always is, no matter where you are. The question is how much is in the air, and one of the best ways to test for that is to see how much mold is in your carpeting. I'll put a link down below for one of those tests, but I'll get more into the carpeting in the next video. It's a big one. A lot of people have water leaking in their walls, and they don't even know it until like weeks or months later when mold has filled their walls. And then it's like horrible. I mean, that's a really bad situation to be in which case you need a mold remediation company, which means ripping out your walls and sometimes gutting half the house and remodeling with new drywall and getting new ceilings and floors and stuff like that, which is super expensive and a nightmare because you need to move out while they're doing this. If it's not that bad, then you need to stop the moisture source first, and obviously, and get rid of the mold, which isn't easy because remember, mold has spores. But let's say you're able to. So you need to purify the air. Use HEPA filters, really good air filters, to filter the mold spores from the air, and you need proper ventilation. Keep areas like bathrooms and kitchens well ventilated wherever it's really humid. So step one is to distance yourself from the source. You cannot take just detox herbs and then stay in a moldy house. It doesn't work that way. Unless there's a water line break in the walls or you live in the humid tropics, the question is, where is the mold coming from? Overwatering houseplants can create the mold, and pets can harbor and bring in all kinds of pathogens from outside, but the most common cause is actually the environment people create inside their bodies that attract and feed the mold, allowing it to flourish. There are mold spores in the air everywhere all the time, no matter where you go. You're breathing them in right now. The body's very, very moist, which sets the stage. And the food source for mold and yeast is, drumroll, sugar and carbs. In fact, Candida albicans, the common yeast that most people have issues with, in yeast infections, digestive issues, acid indigestion, toenail fungus, stuff like that. It grows crazy on a diet of carbs and sugar and alcohol and bread, cereal and cookies and crackers and fruit juice and rice and granola bars. That stuff that most people eat, bagels and chips and stuff like that. And it gets stronger and it starts filling up the whole digestive tract, and then it mutates into a more aggressive fungal form worm, which burrows through the intestines with tentacles called hyphae, which creates holes in the intestinal tract, which allows undigested food into the bloodstream, which leads to autoimmune issues and all kinds of health problems. Most people don't even realize that yeast can grow into a fungus. Mold and fungus thrive in bodies full of sugar and carbs and alcohol and bread. Diabetics and hypoglycemics have high blood sugar, so they are a rich breeding ground for mold and fungus and yeast, and it just spreads through the whole body. Sure, it's easy to blame the environment, but mold spores are everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. You're walking around right now, you're breathing them in. Everyone is exposed to them, and healthy immune systems can usually keep them under control. People who eat lots of carbs and sugars and even fruit juice get sick more often, and they end up taking antibiotics, which only affects the bacteria, but it does nothing to yeast and fungus and mold, and ends up killing off most of the body's much needed beneficial gut flora and bacteria, which is needed to help keep the toxins out of the body. So having antibiotics, even in the past, like 5 or 10 years ago, sets someone up to be a perfect candidate for yeast, SIBO, mold, fungus, parasites, all that stuff that grows inside you that loves that stuff. So the answer is not simply what to take, but what to stop doing so you stop feeding the problem so it doesn't continue. This means stopping the bread and the sugar and the alcohol and anything made with flour and baked in an oven, the cereal, the pasta, the pizza, the crackers, the fruit juice, the cheese, and all that stuff. Dried fruits and stuff like that. Avoid mold-prone foods like cheese, dried fruits, peanuts, and alcohol, as those can contain mold. Beer's, big one. Or promote fungal growth, and eat clean, whole foods rich in antioxidants and like vegetables, that stuff that nobody wants to eat. Leafy greens, nuts, and seeds. And then there's antifungal foods like garlic, ginger, turmeric, coconut oil, because it contains caprylic acid. Oregano oil can be beneficial. Track your symptoms like how tired you are, your brain fog, sinus issues, or respiratory problems. Once you start killing stuff, you need to bind it, like grab it, and then you need to flush it out. So two of the most powerful binders known are charcoal and bentonite. So get charconite and help bind the mycotoxins. Chlorella helps, which is, by the way, one of the main ingredients in my protein and green formula. Good stuff. Once the stuff is rounded up, you need to get rid of it. So colon formula, magnesium, enemas are great for that. Sweating helps detoxify, hot baths and regular exercise. That's stuff that nobody gets enough of. You need to move your body to get things moving and flowing out of you. Drink lots of water, clean filtered water, to support kidney and liver detoxification. Not coffee, pure water. Probiotics can help detox the mold from the body by binding the mycotoxins, reducing their absorption and supporting the gut microbiome. So eating lots of sauerkraut and kimchi and unsweetened coconut yogurt, not dairy, coconut yogurt. Key strains like Lactobacillus rhamnosus and Saccharomyces boulardii can help eliminate toxins, lower inflammation, and repair gut damage caused by the mold. Help feed the probiotics with prebiotics like fiber, flax, chia, and my prebiotic fiber. Digestive enzymes, especially containing lots of protease, because protease helps break down proteins, including the bad stuff. Lots of vitamin C, 30 milligrams of zinc once a day with a meal, and selenium, eat a couple of Brazil nuts every day. Adaptogens to help support the immune system. Age-Free has the world's most powerful adaptogens. Omega-3 fatty acids help inflammation. So again, flax, chia, and the sea buckthorn in my vitamin C formula. If mold messed up your digestion, digestive enzymes may help, but they're not like the fix-all if people aren't eating right. So don't think that's just going to be like, I'll just take enzymes, everything will be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. Go out in the sun as much as you can. Believe it or not, that helps. Change doesn't happen overnight, so don't expect instant results. There are no shortcuts. Just like the house has to be stripped and cleaned, so does your body. Nothing beats having a clean body. You have to clean up your diet, stop the sugar, the bread, the fruit juice, the alcohol, the ice cream. You can't just take something to kill mold if you keep feeding it what it likes. So I know I keep saying that, but it's so important to stop feeding the problem. So it's not always the house. It's not always, I've been exposed to it, so now I'm, you're exposed to mold all the time. It's in the mold spores are everywhere. It's part of nature. Normally, your immune system can take care of it, and that's it. That's the end of it. But if you have stuff in your body that mold loves to thrive on, then it's going to grow. So it's not just a matter of taking something. It's a matter of stopping feeding the stuff. All right. Well, I hope that helps. I mean, those are the basics. Those are the basics right there. So, okay. I hope you got something out of this, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.